Hi guys and welcome to my review of HeroAca chapter 250 ending. I'm gonna be uploading this at the same time as my review for 249, which was filmed last week. I haven't gotten it up because I don't know. But it was filmed last week, so there's a lot of things that I say in that video that make zero sense after having read this one. But it's so long and I spent a lot of time on it and I almost cried during the review, so I don't want it to go to waste. If the length is like scary to you, that's fine. I know it's almost an hour long, but I just to summarize, I really enjoyed the previous chapter. I thought it was the best chapter in HeroAca in this year probably. And I had a lot of feelings and thought about it, and I went through the entire chapter almost panel by panel, just talking about everything that I liked about it. So I'd recommend if you like those kind of things where you get really deep into the chapter, you could check that one out, but it's fine if it's a little too long. I'll keep this review on the shorter side probably, because there aren't as many interesting panels as last week, but there are definitely a lot of things that I want to like talk about, especially because we got a lot of new information. But the chapter is called Ending, named after the villain that we get introduced to in this chapter. And the villain, we get him from the very beginning. It's his like inner monologue or whatever we're getting in the beginning. And he seems to have this weird relationship with Endeavor where he is obsessed with him. He's basically stalking him, and it turned him into a villain for some reason, and then he got caught by Endeavor and sent to prison, I assume. So that's where this guy is at. And it's too bad that Natsu was leaving early, because then he gets captured and all that. But the first like really interesting part, because it's at the beginning, it's kind of like we're setting up a new villain, and then Natsu gets captured. Okay, easy peasy. I am surprised that Shoto, and we're back to calling him by first name because this is the HeroAca family and it'll make no sense otherwise. I'm surprised that Shoto not necessarily knows about Toya, just because I got the impression that he was very young when things happened, but just that he has opinions about this. I figured that he was a bit more isolated from the Toya stuff than the rest of the family, just because he was younger and because of things. But again, we don't have a particular timeline of when things happened before this chapter, because as Ending said in the beginning, he said 7 years ago, which is when I assumed that the Toya stuff happened. And 7 years ago, that would have made Todoroki or Shoto 9-ish. So, yeah. But we have Fuyumi here saying that Natsu and Toya were really close, which was kind of what I speculated in the last chapter. Although I also said that like the reason that Toya's death had hit him harder than Fuyumi was because he was younger and less emotionally capable of understanding everything that's going on. And this is again confirmed just by the fact that Fuyumi said that Natsu blames Endeavor for Toya's death. And we don't know exactly what happened here. But it's really interesting to see if Natsu's blame is like, I want to say well placed, but like whether or not he's just projecting, because I would assume that Endeavor was not strictly responsible for the death of his own child. But again, it depends on how everything went down and such. And it might just have been that Endeavor was just not quick enough to save him, which would be a really great not necessarily silver lining to have, but let's call it silver lining throughout this arc where Endeavor has been like, you need to be fast, like take a villain down quicker than me, because like being fast could literally save lives, and it could then harken back to the fact that he was not fast enough to save his own child from a villain. Like he literally failed at the most important thing, which is for a parent to protect their child, Like it wasn't Endeavor failing as a hero, it was NG failing as a dad in protecting his child, because I wouldn't call it a parent's duty, but a parent's desire and wish is usually like, I will give my life if it means that my child can live. And I talked about this last time, like losing a child can really mess you up. And we don't know how it impacted Endeavor and Ray, and we don't know exactly like when this happened in relationship to all the stuff that Shoto went through and all those things. But last time I speculated that the the things that Endeavor did to Shoto was kind of a result of what happened with Toya, but the fact that it's only 7 years ago makes me kind of want to go back on that, which takes away some points that I was willing to give to Endeavor, unfortunately, but let's see how it all plays out, because I don't know. I'm also going to ignore the Toya is Dabi theory here, because I feel like I can't put it together right now with the information we get in this chapter, so let's just see where that goes. Right. I'm again back to I love Bakugo in this chapter, but I always do, so that's great. I love how he's just Bakugo is just generally a very observant person. Um, so yeah, I love his little inclusion here. And we have a little tidbit of like them going back to school, and like we talk about like how they're gonna balance out their schoolwork and their internship. And I love that we get a reminder that Bakugo is a good cook, because we haven't had that reminder since like training camp. So just like Hori flexing that Bakugo is the perfect person if he just like could tone down the anger issues a little bit. I am a big fan, by the way, of all the ways that Hori has drawn Endeavor. Like, first of all, there is a big ass focus on his scar throughout the entire chapter. Like, every time we see Endeavor from the side, it's always from the scar side, which is great because it kind of like puts a visual representation of how the family is kind of torn apart and it's his fault, and all those things. Fuyumi continues to be just a great person, and she thanks Deku for being Shoto's friend. This is super cute. Yeah. I'm gonna ignore their little talk about school. The driver, this Todoroki driver person, is a character. he's a character, and I'm not entirely sure what to put him into, but I like him. I quite like him. He seems to be like he's the right kind of person to be working for Todoroki, because he seems to not be taking shit from everyone. He's very willingly ready to just talk back to Endeavor, like when Endeavor says that since I was placed at the top, and he's like, are you saying a person's position are you saying one's position can change a person? Pah. Yeah, that's just, he seems like a great guy. Not necessarily a great guy, but just like the perfect person to be working for the Todoroki family. That's just like, hellish. And then we get to ending. He's just standing in the middle of the road. They should probably just keep going and run him over. But he's got Natsu, and his quirk is really interesting, because at first I was like, is his quirk, like, is the bandages or whatever he's controlling, is it just like, Aizawa's like scarf thingy, like the same kind of thing, but later it becomes very obvious that it's literally his quirk, and I'm not entirely sure what he's doing. Like, maybe he's using his clothes, like in the same way that Best Jeanist is kind of, Best Jeanist, I don't know why I keep putting another syllable in his name, but Best Jeanist is using like the fabric of his clothes to make his threats and do his things, and I'm wondering if this guy is also using his clothes and can control it in like almost the same manner, but I'm not entirely sure, because I'm not 100% certain on what material his wrapping bandages thingies are, because they look almost hard, but like still flexible enough for him to, obviously like manipulate them pretty. Oh wait, no, it might actually be I just realized this. It might be the what's it called? The road things. Because I just realized now that I'm so slow. I've only read this chapter like twice, and this is my third time going through it. Okay, so he's using the road paint, and he's manipulating that, because he's taking off, there's the 60, I'm assuming that's 60 kilometers per hour, the speed limit, and then he's using the divider for the roads. I don't know what this is called. I don't drive. I'm not a person who drives and stuff, so I don't know this. Okay, so he's using that. Okay, now I know what it is, and he manipulates. Is it paint then that he can manipulate? I'm just his quirk is baffling me. I don't know what it could possibly be. I'm very interested in seeing like Natsu how he's gonna deal with this, because at no point in this chapter does he call for help. He doesn't like yell out to Endeavor or anything. It's very like Sludge Monster Bakugo-esque in the sense that like, well, it's very different, because obviously for Natsu here, the problem with asking for help is that the only pro hero around is his shitty dad, and for Bakugo it's more like a pride thing that he doesn't like to ask for help. But they're both in a situation where they have to be rescued, obviously. My friend pointed out it'd be really interesting to see Natsu use his quirk here, and maybe see what the drawbacks like of using the ice would be. Obviously we know the drawbacks, like we've seen it on HeroAca, but it just like Shoto has the ability to like counter the ice stuff, you know? So it would almost be like a little nice like moment between him and Endeavor if he overused his ice quirk and Endeavor has to like kind of heat him up. It would be like a little nice moment, because again, I'm all for not forgiving Endeavor. That's up to the characters themselves, but that doesn't mean you can't have like a civil relationship. Yeah. And obviously Endeavor is really quickly out of the car trying to save his son, like a good person. But I don't know how I did not realize that he was using the goddamn road things, because there's the 60 over here on the car. I'm so dumb. I am so dumb. I can't believe. I'm glad I caught it here before I just completely like outed myself as being an idiot. Right. And he did kind of like talk back and forth. I find it really interesting that ending is like inviting Endeavor to kill him, like do the job that you couldn't do 7 years ago, like finish me off, actually kill me this time. He has a really weird relationship with him. It kind of like, it reminds me of Toga, but in a more twisted way, in that Toga has this obsession with people where if she likes them, if she takes an interest in them romantically, you know, she will want to mess them up. She likes, like, she's attracted to bloodied people, you know? But this guy is like, ooh, I admire Endeavor, so let me just casually try to kill his children. Sure. That's an interesting way to go about it. And it's also the way that he begs him, almost like, I'm gonna kill this kid, so please, Endeavor, do the job right this time. You gotta kill me. Like, what is his obsession with this? Is it in the way that he's fantasized, like, this, ooh, Endeavor, yada yada, I want Endeavor to kill me, and the way he decided, ooh, I can make Endeavor kill me if I kill his children, because then it's a revenge thing, you know? I'm really interested in knowing, like, this guy's, like, not necessarily mental state, but just like how his mind works, because he's obviously very unstable. I'm very, also, he apparently he was released. He didn't like escape from prison, so it's interesting that he got the green and there's no one monitoring him, or like he's not put in a mental facility or anything. He seems straight up batshit crazy. But this is a really interesting thing. A few things to also note here is that since, I don't know if this is necessarily the end of our internship arc, because it's been really short, but we are sending our 3 gremlins back to school now. And in the previous chapter, Shoto like said, like, today is the day that we capture a villain faster than Endeavor. So this is really their last shot at doing it quicker. And that would be really interesting to see them. Interesting to see them in this particular sense rescue Natsu quicker, because that just gives Natsu less incentive to even like be in talking terms with Endeavor. Like, at this point, I have zero, like, I don't want to call it hopes, but I have zero, like, faith in the fact that Natsu could possibly forgive Endeavor in the way that Shoto possibly could. But if Endeavor not necessarily fails to save him, but is beaten by other people to save Natsu that makes this really, really interesting. But it could also be that Endeavor prioritizes saving Natsu, and then our Gremlin trio, they take down this Ender guy. Because this guy, like, okay, I don't know. Again, I don't know the specifics of his quirk. He seems to be able to take these things and then manipulate them. But is it only this one kind of material? Is it multiple things? Our heroes, our Gremlin heroes, and Endeavor for that case, they don't have their costumes. They don't have their little gears that can support them. But I'm interested in seeing how they will fare against this guy. Because this guy is obviously strong. If he wasn't, Endeavor probably wouldn't look as worried as he does, because then he could probably finish him off easily. Obviously, he has a hostage, but, you know, Endeavor is really fast, so the fact that he's, like, you know, hesitating, like, he thinks he won't be able to get to Natsu faster than this guy can kill him. I'm assuming he's really, really strong. So I'm really interested in seeing how our trio can fare against him. They all seem to have quirks that would work well against him. Todoroki, Shoto especially. I feel like his eyes could be really, really useful here. But I'm more like, I feel like probably Bakugo has the least of an advantage here, because I think explosions may not be the most effective. But Bakugo it has a lot of other things, like his maneuverability is so good he could probably evade really quickly and do things. And then Deku probably has also a really, really good quirk here, because a powerful, like, strength-ish quirk would help a lot. And if he could use his black whips, great too. I highly doubt, I feel like it would be a little too quick if he could use them perfectly, but maybe if he could, like, in the spur of the moment, use, like, a burst of it, kind of like how he can use, like, 20% or 30% of his power, like, in bursts. That would be amazing, like, to give them an opening, maybe. But it would probably story-wise make sense for probably Shoto to be the one to deal the finishing blow, just because this is the Todoroki arc. Story-wise, again, it would make sense to have it be Deku, but I feel like it should go to Shoto just to kind of, not necessarily finish off his arc, but just to have that silver lining of this be the Todoroki family arc, or a part of this arc. I'm also really interested in seeing, like, it's been very few seconds now since this guy came out and did things, and Endeavor, like, kind of try to do things. But I'm wondering, like, the Gremlin trio, they're obviously gonna try to help. Bakugo has had his head out the window for the entirety of this car ride. He could be in a really good position to really quickly do something. In terms of, like, speed and acceleration power, Bakugo beats the other two. So if you get the first blow in, that would be really interesting, because this villain ending is really focused on Endeavor, so he will probably not, like, if he could be taken by surprise, that would be really good, especially in saving Natsu. Because that should be their first priority, like, we save Natsu and then we take care of this villain. So that could be really interesting. That could be a way for Bakugo to, like, get in there, because I still feel like Shoto and Deku have the better powers to face off against this villain, depending on what the particularity of his quirk is. But yeah, he looks crazy. Yeah. He reminds me a little bit, like, when I first saw him in the beginning, he reminded me a little bit of Moonfish, but it might just be because of the outfit. Oh yeah, he's also just as crazy. Yes. Anyway, I can't believe I did not notice how his quirk worked. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say about the chapter, because there's so much just about ending, about, like, him capturing Natsu and setting that fight up. There isn't as much to discuss as last time, but it was still a solid chapter, and I'm really, really interested in seeing, like, how our trio is gonna fare against this guy, how they're gonna get involved, who's gonna save Natsu, and just how we're probably gonna get a little bit more of Toya now, because this guy's obviously the reason why he's dead / Dabi. I don't know. So yeah, we're definitely getting into some more story here. Don't know if we're gonna get a flashback necessarily. It might be a couple pages maybe. But yeah, I'm super interested in seeing what happens next. Like, HeroAca is just super good lately, and I'm always super excited for her chapters. It's a shame that they're so short. Like, this chapter was like 13 pages. I want more, Hori. I really want more. Just like page or two more would be really good. Because I feel like I go through them so quickly. It's like, oh, a new chapter is out, and then 5 minutes later, oh no, I read the entire thing already. Whereas like with One Piece, I feel like I go through it a little slower. Yeah. That's it for HeroAca. I'm not gonna talk for now, like last chapter. So you can leave in the comments below what you thought of the chapter. You can leave a like if you like anything I had to say, and you can subscribe if you want to see more. And until next week, are we gonna get more HeroAca? Bye.